Hey guys, Cirrus here. It's been a long time since I've made a video. Of course, I've only made one other one, so it's not really that big a deal. But I've been wanting to make videos for a while, ever since I made that last one about StarCraft. But the problem is I went on a huge tilt that just lasted forever. And it's been consistent ever since I made that video, basically, so maybe making videos is bad. Just today, really, I started feeling a bit better about my play, though, because I realized that the mistakes that I was making were just as simple as macro mistakes. I started working on my macro again, and things sort of have started to click. I think I'm doing a lot better than I was before, so I think I'm a little bit over that. And now I feel a little bit more confident in my play, and I feel like I can maybe give some advice again. Because before I just felt like I just wasn't in the place to do it, because I just played horribly. But this is going to be a game against a GM Protoss. Not particularly high, but still a player that knows what he's doing. And it's just a really clean game from me, I feel. And I wanted to talk about a couple things that you should keep in mind in the matchup with TvP, which I know a lot of people are struggling with lately, including myself. In a couple games, I'll probably play another one and I'll be like, "Oh, Protoss is such bullshit!" That sort of thing, just like everyone else. But for now, I have a moment of clarity, and thought I'd capitalize on that. So this is going to be a game in Habitation Station. Map that is going to be gone next season, which, in my opinion, is fine, because I hate playing against Protoss in this map, because 10-gate Mothership Core is a bit ridiculous, in my opinion, as far as how fast it takes to get over here. You only have 2 Marines out, and actually they're not even out by the time it gets over here, if you go for a Reaper first, at 12-12. So I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I will not be sad to see the map go, even though I really like it in a lot of ways. I don't like it in that respect. So this game, I'm going to just speed up a little bit. I just go here, I'll look for any sort of proxies, any sort of shenanigans. But it starts out very standard. You see here that he's going for 1 gas, which I pop in here. I see the probe go out for the Nexus. I'm like, okay, you're playing standard, cool, cool. I actually stopped eBay blocking. A lot of people encourage eBay blocking, which I think is fantastic. I don't do it this game, mostly because I'm like, I think I might be able to delay it for long enough without it. Especially because he made this zealot, but I actually don't think I was recognizing that he built one, so that's not really why I decided not to do it. But I go for kind of similar to what I do in my TVC, actually. But you have to realize that this matchup is not TVC, and I feel like a lot of people have problems with this matchup because they approach it like they approach TVT and TVC. They are not the same matchup at all. You have to play with different priorities in these matchups. So, keeping this Reaper alive, I'm sure you've heard it dozens of times. It is so important. Otherwise, you basically lose all this map vision, I mean, not those units. Those units stay alive, which is the problem. And losing that map vision means that you can get all sorts of bombarded by stalkers and stuff like this. With this Reaper up, you know what's happening. You can pull SCVs if you need to, with no sort of hesitation. So it's very important to keep that Reaper alive. Just thought I'd touch on that again because it needs reiteration over and over again, because it doesn't seem that important once you get in their base and like, oh, you're not going for fastest Oracle or a proxy or whatever, but it really is. I haven't talked about this guy's build very much. He did go for 1-gate Robo, basically as greedy as you can get. Protoss can get away with it under normal circumstances. This is not a normal circumstance. So the build that I do, I'm actually going to pause and go back to it just to show you. The build itself is not that important. Again, I feel like builds, while important, are not what you should focus on. You should focus on solid play, reaction, and keeping your macro up, because that's what really matters. So I do go for just 1-1-1. Go for my starport right after this, get a mine. And I saw Tasia do this at... Oh my god, I forgot what tournament. He did it once at, it must have been DreamHack or something. It's 2 Hellion, and then constant mine production. It's kind of weird, because you feel like the Hellions just kind of can't do enough if you don't get really lucky and they screw up. But the point of the Hellions is really to force at least 1 overcharge over here, while you're dropping here simultaneously. I actually don't think I capitalized on the fact that I made him overcharge that much, or at least in this game. He went for a later Mothership Core, as you probably saw, which means that he doesn't have enough energy immediately. He overcharges here, and then he can't overcharge here right away. I think he does eventually. But so this is good, and he's actually not playing that greedy because he did get stalkers. which is unusual, or at least for a greedy Protoss. But you see down here that he activated Overcharge down here. And I'm actually able to pick off a lot of units with this small drop. And this is one thing that I think a lot of people don't prioritize. Probes, killing probes is great, but never sacrifice Marines to kill probes. In other matchups, this is where it kind of deviates from the other matchups, because in TvC, you want to kill a lot of drones, because if you kill drones, they have to make more drones, which means less units. Protoss, they can make probes and units at the same time, so it's a different thing. Killing those units makes them make more units, which means they're spending less time on +1/+1. As you can see, there's no forges. He's starting his first Colossus at 9 minutes, which is a bit late. He doesn't have thermal lance on the way either. So overall, he's just really far behind as far as tech. And that wasn't even with that much effort. Now, of course, I don't want to make it seem like you can do this in any game and it will work perfectly, because TvP is a matchup where, depending on how they open, things just aren't going to work out very well. But against this sort of standard play, as long as you don't take too much damage when you're dropping, I think it works really well. Just to do that sort of harass, that light harass. So basically, what's important is killing those units. But what's more important than any sort of micro thing, which I think, with the current mindset of TvP, a lot of people don't realize, but even though Terran does, to an extent, have to do damage early, it's not such a thing where you either kill a bunch of probes so you're in the game, but it's more about being able to stay ahead in supply, because you do need a little bit of a supply advantage, which I have here. Now, this push isn't meant to do much harm. It's meant to see what exactly is going on. See that he only has 1 Colossus, 2 Sentries, and 2 Zealots, which is absolutely nothing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to push in here. I take a little bit more than I should. I lose a couple units to that 1 Colossus, but it's alright, because I'm like, okay, he is playing very defensively, and he's playing very greedy, just because he has no more Zealots. He does have a couple units over here, but they're being defensive, which is fine. So he's getting +1/+1, which is, that's all great. I have my third up. I have 5 barracks on the way. Actually, I have 7 barracks on the way. Wow, that's a lot of barracks. So I'm feeling really good about this, and this is kind of another thing about this matchup that I think people should be aware of, is that Vikings in low numbers, not really that useful on the offense. Just build medivacs instead, because if you can keep the unit count low, Colossus by themselves, they don't need Vikings to get picked off. Having medivacs gives your units the livability to be able to go up to them and be like, hey bro, I'm gonna kill you. You really need that against this early sort of composition. So that's kind of what my game plan is here. Just sort of bum rush him, medivacs, no Vikings, no real tech at all. I have +1, and I actually get really lucky with this timing, and I kill the Nexus, Colt style. And that's basically the end of the game. He does leave here. He could have stayed around a little bit longer, but he probably was going to die eventually. So that's sort of a clean way to approach the matchup, I feel. It's not perfectly clean, because I'm not that great a player. I'm not even mid-GM. I didn't even get GM this season. I did last season. Hoping to get it again next season, but for now, I am just some mid-masters scrub, as I like to say. But this still worked against a pretty solid player. And, of course, this matchup, you can say it's a lot because, oh, I got lucky and that sort of thing, which I will agree with a little bit, just because, depending on how they open, you can just sort of get squashed. Like, if they go for, I don't know, like 3 Gateway, Robo, or something kind of weird, they have a lot of units early on, I'm going to lose all this, I'm going to be forced on my side of the map, they're going to be able to take a third really easily. But that's kind of not the usual playstyle, especially on this map. And again, that comes back to the fact that you really, really want to keep your medivacs alive. When you're doing harass, your first priority should not be to kill workers. It should be to get in there, kill whatever you can without losing units, get back out. Why you should do this is because it's really important to make a Protoss continue to build units instead of being able to be greedy. As you saw here, he kind of played... He started out really greedy because he went for just 1 gateway into Robo, which is as greedy as you can possibly get. But after that, he built a lot of stalkers and a lot of zealots, and he got his forge really, really late, which meant he had no way to be out in the map at all. He had these units, but they were all defensive because he was scared of what I was doing. And you kind of want to get that, you kind of want to get a Protoss in that place where they're scared. That's really what the whole idea is to be dominant in this matchup. And it's hard. It is hard. But I feel like it's not as hard as a lot of people make it out to be. At least at this level. Pro level is something completely different, and I don't know how that works. But as you can see, again, it's just coming back to this. You kill what you can, you get out when you can. I lost that one Marine I shouldn't. This one of mine is able to do quite a bit here too. Does he actually? Okay, he just loses a pro, but then he might have lost that Stalker. And I got supply blocked here too, so it's not perfect play, man. But the idea is that you're on top of your macro the whole time. It's macro that counts. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. Is that you can go in for micro, that can be your goal, but it shouldn't be what you're going for. I guess it shouldn't be your goal. It should be something you're doing on the side while macroing as hard as you possibly can, and going for a timing with +1. And so I'm running out of things to say right now. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Until next time, hopefully hopefully shorter than 2 months like it was last time. I'll see you later. Thank you. What's my... it's been so long I forgot what button stops my stream. I think it's plus. If it's plus, goodbye. If it's not, I'll see you for a little bit longer. Let's hope.